Shall we press the button?
I was going to say, yes, I'm allowing you to hit the button now.
Let's do it. Right,
and everybody get their drums ready.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Sunday, episode number 4 of the LunaCast. It's our 4th episode. Amazing. And great to have you join us. Thank you very much. Hello to everybody in the chat who've been steadily walking in. Always fantastic to see you guys. Thank you very much indeed. Big episode this week. All of those that joined us last Sunday and didn't have the opportunity to join us on Thursday. Boy, have we got lots to tell you. Firstly, though, Duncan, how's your week been? Just a little clue, your mic's muted, mate. There you go. Oh, still is.
Yes, I know. I'm being good here.
I'm just giving you a heads up. Just giving you a heads up.
My week has been entertaining one way and another, but it's been an exciting week. There's so much news going on in the whole wide world, and LunaCast and Luna have been making a lot of news this week, which I'm really happy about because it's now out and people have been enjoying it.
Would you say, if we were to say the whole wide world of gaming, would it be too presumptuous to invent a new one and say the whole wide sky of cloud gaming?
Yep, that's one way of talking about it as well, because there has been so much news in the whole cloud gaming space. There's just so much going on and so much I would like to talk about, but this is LunaCast, so we will concentrate on good old Luna.
So much to talk about. Right, well, let's start at the very, very beginning. So at the end of last week's show, we were saying, as we always do, who knows, hopefully this week we will hear about the early access kicking off. But we, to be fair, we weren't 100% sure. And I did say, if you remember, folks, I did say last week that I thought it would be a slow release, be a slow burn, and then ultimately they would build and build and build. So Monday came and went. Tuesday, I got a hurried message from Duncan to say, quick, we're going live. I'm like, no, it hasn't happened. It was like an expectant parent being told, your wife's just been rushed in, quick, grab your coat and see you at the hospital. So we came live. And of course, yeah, absolutely. There was a blog post from Mark Whitten, who's director at Amazon Luna, to say the first round of early accesses had gone live. So yeah, super excited. It was too late that day for us to do a lot about it, sadly. But we did Thursday, we did a big show. We did actually do a show on Tuesday, Duncan, didn't we? I'm talking out of my rabbit. I tell you what, it was too late for. It was too late to find anybody who was streaming it, because we were hoping to grab someone and show you guys live, which we did do on Thursday. Thankfully, we found an old friend of ours, someone that we've done shows with before, Ashes to Ashes TV on Twitch, and he had actually been playing it. So that was brilliant. So we were able to actually go live on Thursday, and I'll bring that up for what it's worth. You may as well see that. There we go. Not that one. There you go, that one there. So this is some of the footage that we captured. We were out in the Serengeti and we saw a wildebeest of Ashes playing before our very eyes. Oh, don't know where that's gone. Oh no, Duncan's brought something else up. Why did you do that? What have you ruined my massive professional piece? What is it with you, boy?
I was just getting
this afternoon editing that. What the heck?
I was just getting ahead of the thing as well.
I know, this is the one problem with this system. You can't queue it up, can you? If you put one up, you have to wait. But anyway, so this was really, really exciting, of course, get the first early accesses. As I'd predicted, it occurred that was very, very few people. So of all the hundreds and hundreds of people that we know in the cloud gaming community, we literally could find one who had been granted early access. And Mark Whitten had said in his blog post, that's what you had there, actually, wasn't it, Duncan? You may as well bring it up now. Thank you very much, my friend. So basically, Mark Whitten had said there that let's get rid of that hundreds of thousands of people had applied. So, by our very, very simple mathematics, we estimate maybe 1 in 1,000 was lucky to get granted early access. And of course, as predicted, almost certainly that's because they want to be able to stress test everything, roll it out sort of slowly, make sure it all works, make sure the whole system's fit for purpose, and then gradually increase it. So Duncan, I'm trying to think of a couple of. We found out a couple of things which we didn't know before last week. One was that if you sign up for early access, because you obviously get invited, you actually get 7 days free trial before your $5.99 kicks in. So that's quite good. So, and I'm guessing that's probably a permanent thing, an offer.
Yep, I would say that's I think that's going to be like a permanent sort of thing going forward. But also, it's very big to notice as well. There's another 7 days you have to be careful of. You've only got 7 days to reply to the email to say that you want to take access. If you remember about when we seen the emails on Tuesday as well, that's a very big point as well. So they must be just trying to keep 100% level of keeping an eye on the numbers so it doesn't go above what they're looking for.
Yeah, no, good point. They're clearly being very careful to manage access. The other thing that we found, talking with Ash's Jeremy on Thursday, and it was an assumption that he had come to, but I think it's a fair one, was that it's almost certainly people with a very fast data connection that were granted the first round of early access, and there's obvious reasons for that. One of the issues, for example, that other competing platforms have had leveled at them is, the quality. When actually the majority of the issue isn't the quality of the stream, it's the quality of their connection or how their routers are set up. And we've touched on this before here when we've talked about what's cloud gaming. And almost certainly one way that you can mitigate that as an issue is obviously to make sure that the people you grant early access to have the best possible connection. So they would have been looking at where their data centers are. They'd be having a look at people that have got at least 500 meg down, up to a gig down, which is what Ash's had, and then just releasing it to them, because that means the very first kind of streams and messages that get out there is, actually, this is pretty damn good quality. I'm not getting any stuttering. The latency is really good. Whereas if you just chose people at random, and you had some guy that's only got a 6 meg connection, for example, he's going to struggle. I mean, it's just the way it is. And of course, he's then going to say, I tried it, but it was rubbish. It was pausing in the games. I was getting 10 frames per second and so on. And it reflects badly on the service. So you can kind of understand why they would have done that. But it's certainly worth bearing in mind, if you have applied, if you have anything less than their recommended connection, you're very unlikely to get invited on until they just open it up to the public. And even then, you'd probably want to think twice anyway. Because of course that's just a standard across cloud gaming. I mean, that's like buying a car in a country that has no roads. You can't exactly blame the car if your wheels keep dropping off. So yeah, that was an interesting. What else did you pick up, Dunk, from that initial blog post?
I've just highlighted some there. It's just to re-emphasize, we are starting with a small set of the first customers on the service, and we'll continue to invite more players to join us over the coming months. It's not over the coming weeks, it's over the coming months, and we appreciate your patience. So we just need to be patient, basically. I think they're learning from mistakes and are using the learning experiences of other places just to keep this nice and steady, keep everything under control so they can just build up as they go along. So yeah, there's just a load of interesting wee bits and bobs in this, and
Yeah.
we're going to touch on a load of it here, just like the Luna controller there and the Ubisoft channel just above. So, yeah, and even over this first week, we have already seen improvements going forward, which is
Mm.
absolutely mad. With or maybe our next piece of news, or about stuff which has already got added to the service.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. So initial thoughts. As you know, we're based in the UK, so we've not so far been able to get our hands on Luna, but we've been watching a lot of streaming and obviously paying a lot of attention to reviews and social media. And I would say the vast majority of reviews and reports have been very favorable. You always get people that say, well, it's cloud gaming, so you've got to accept that there won't be as good a graphical quality, or that there'll be some latency, etc. But then they go on to say, however, this was a really good, good out of the block start. Certainly, I mean, a couple of people I read had said about, fluffy graphics and stuff, but I think, again, a lot of that is down to their own network and their own connections. I was only saying today to someone, I've now been cloud gaming every single day for a year, and I've never had an issue with the services. And I'm signed up to 2 or 3, never had an issue, because I've got a really fast connection. I've got a 1 gig up, 1 gig down and 110 up. And I think that's a lot of it. Those early reports are people that are having issues because it's their network, and they would report the same anyway. But the streams that I've seen, even though the game's a 1080p at the moment, and they promised that there will be a 4K rollout in the future, they've been really sharp. I mean, really good quality. Even Ash's even suggested, for example, in Control that he was playing, that it was, potentially he was seeing ray tracing at a low level as well. And certainly the hardware that is being used behind the scenes is capable of that. It's equivalent of an NVIDIA 2080, which is perfectly capable of ray tracing. So, that's really encouraging to see. We took a big look on Thursday, Duncan, at the interface. That was the thing I was keenest on, not to sort of dwindle too much on the games, and how fast they load and everything else, but actually to have a look at the interface. And I think we all felt that it's clear that they're still improving it, but actually it was a nice, clean, fast interface, wasn't it? We're looking here at the library of games, and you'll notice that the logos are big on each of these graphics, each of these thumbnails. So it's easy to see instantly what the game is without having to work out what the graphic is. And it also means they can squash more into a screen. So here we've got, on launch, they've launched with 50 games exactly, and you've got most of them in this screen. There's only another couple rows below this. So, that I thought was really good. Was there anything in the interface that you particularly liked, Dunk?
I just like when you actually go into the games here. If you see a bit of a judder, that is just a video. That is not the actual
Yes,
what's going on there.
Don't take the quality of this.
For those watching the video here, that is just down to a bit of the encoding here on the video, because it is butterly smooth when it's moving up and down. What I liked is this here, and you can actually, it gives you everything. And if people are playing, you can jump straight into the Twitch streams as well. It tells you what quality it is. This is a 1080 game. This is, so you're assuming in the coming months, I was going to say this is a 4K game. It's building up very, very nicely here. And yes, we're not going to beat around the bush. There is things which are missing, but we're going to be coming on to them later anyway for a big discussion on one of things which need to improve as well, and why we believe they are maybe missing from the service at this time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think, given that this was our first exposure to the system, to the interface, and just taking a litmus test, just taking a sort of a general feeling across the cloud of what people thought, it was definitely a thumbs up. I think people were quietly surprised. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be a bit of a here, a sort of Me Too type, half-hearted affair, but that hasn't been the experience at all. And in fact, a lot of people have said that going from one device to another is really fast. You're not. Go on, Doug.
It's going to be something we're going to be touching on with the controller as well. That makes a much more seamless way of going between devices. This is something I'm really looking forward to actually trying, especially being it's going to be on iPhones as well and Apple devices, going between the two devices and not having to pair up the controller to every single device. It's paired per user rather than per device.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And even things like parental controls, where you literally can choose different ages that you want to block content on. So depending on the ESRB rating, you can literally say, nothing above 15 or 13 or whatever the rating is, which is really good. And that all happens within this interface. And of course, you out of the box, you have the ability to have two people playing the same game or two independent games. So one of you can be the manager, the administrator, and you can determine what you want, what you want your family to have control to. Excuse those comments popping up there from the other day, of course, not at the moment, but they're all very, very nice. But yeah, so overall, really positive. And I know that people that have been streaming it virtually non-stop without any issues at all, thoroughly enjoying it, except for the only gripes there have been the missing elements that we'll come on to now, I guess. Dunk, shall we?
Are we going on to them, or do you want to come on to the other news piece?
Oh yeah, let's finish off our news first. Yeah, good point. Getting excited there, ahead of myself.
Our news piece here is, in case anybody has missed it, New World has actually appeared on Luna Plus. It is not playable at this moment in time, but it is there. New World is Amazon Game Studios' big game, which a lot of people are looking forward to, and people have tried. I'm not going to mention any names who absolutely love it.
I absolutely love it. I don't know about anybody else.
And it has been all set up here. And again, this is going to be one of the missing features we're going to be talking about a bit later. New World is a multiplayer game, and so multiplayer looks like that's what we said on our last show. Multiplayer is we all think multiplayer is there. It just hasn't been switched on at this moment in time.
Yeah. It's interesting because basically the history of New World, as you know, guys, you may or may not know, but it's an Amazon Game Studio title. It's a game they've been working on for quite some time. They did do two public betas, two open weekends. I played in both of them, and then there was some behind the scenes play as well. Of course, I personally really enjoyed the game on both occasions. The second time, it was a heck of a lot better than the first time. And then they announced they were taking it off the scenes until next May, which was a shocker because I think it was originally due to go actually go live in October. So that was a bit weird. Now, of course, at that point, we knew nothing about Amazon Luna Plus. I mean, we knew that there was Project Tempo and that at some point next year, which is what we've been told, there would be cloud gaming. And so the assumption was maybe it's to do with that. They're kind of lining the two up. Then Luna launches, and that made it more of a head scratcher because you thought, well, this is a perfect game for Amazon Luna. And here is, so what then appears this week is this screen. So here we have New World, which you may or may not be able to see, but it actually says not currently available. So it isn't, but they've got this, which is very clearly the same screens that you see when you choose any of the other games in the library. So it is coming up. Now, there was also a blog post in the week, which Duncan did. I think it may have been in one of our broadcasts, but essentially it said, that they were bringing it back to an alpha public test. And I think the two previous ones had been billed as beta, which is quite interesting. So, but what that could mean, of course, is in its cloud form as an alpha. So if the last two, which they were basically downloadable executables for a PC, then in its alpha state, we're looking at it as a cloud game, which is absolutely brilliant. That also, of course, is probably the reason why the game has been put back to the spring of next year. It's currently scheduled for May. That may or may not change, but that would also indicate why it's not coming live just yet, because clearly if they're just launching it as an alpha, that means they'll want some time to properly test it and fix anything and then bring it back again. But what I'm really excited about, and I don't know about you on this one, Dunk, is if they've made this screen public, then it is almost certainly going to be available to anybody who has early access. So you will instantly get access to its alpha state, which means who knows what that may mean in terms of other games that they make accessible to people with a Luna account, obviously stating that it's in a developer stage, that it's still in an alpha, beta, or other state. But that's really exciting to see that they're looking at that as an option. So yeah, that was a big surprise this week, and that popped up a couple of days ago.
Yeah, well, my takeaway from this is it looks like, to me anyway, that Amazon and Luna are going to be going for the Microsoft and Xbox Game Pass model, where the first party games are going to be going into their Luna Plus offering. So if this new word looks like it's going to be going in there, and again, it's really, really great to see this. It's one of our early predictions on Luna is already coming true, which is absolutely amazing to see. And it's good to see that the controller support is there from the word go. It's actually in the bottom right-hand corner there, if you can't see it there. But I'm really interested to see what else this means going forward. We've also got the news that Amazon are taking over Smilegate RPG. So will they be going into Luna Plus from the word go? They are Amazon have got the rights to the European and American markets, basically the Western market. So I would hazard a guess that any of them games will be going in here as well. Plus the Lord of the Rings RPG now and the other unannounced projects.
Something I've just noticed, actually, Duncan hadn't spotted this before, but just above controller, it actually says gameplay single player. So so it looks as if the alpha phase rollout for at least Luna Plus won't be the multiplayer version which it was on PC. Now we'll come on to that in a minute as to why we think that's the case, but I hadn't spotted that first time around on this screen, so that's quite interesting.
That is interesting, but I don't think it can be a single player game. It would have
to
it can
be. I played it single player.
it's
I mean, it's an RPG. Yeah, I mean, it's a multi. What's the MMO RPG? It is a massive multiplayer online, but you can, when you're doing your various quests and things, you're being sent to NPCs, to public characters. I think that's what it stands for. So it's not necessary that you interact with other people. I mean, that aspect is absolutely there, and it is quite nice to see other folk wandering around the place, and you can team up and do stuff together in the beta, the PC beta, and you can flag if you're up for being beaten up in PvP, or you can flag that you don't want to be. So technically, yes, you could run it solo in a single player mode, and just essentially wander around and do that stuff. It's going to probably feel quite big and empty, to be fair, but that's alpha for you.
But how would that work with the servers? Because we're logging onto a server, that would probably mean everybody would have rooms.
Yeah, one
So
of the things you're absolutely right. One of the things that I hadn't seen myself before, but not being a massive PC gamer, that doesn't mean a huge amount, was that you actually had a load of servers listed, and you had a choice. I mean, I say a load; it was maybe a dozen or more. Some of them in Europe, some of them in the States, some of them in Asia, and so on. So you had a choice of which server you wanted to go in, depending on how many people were in those servers. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, what are they going to do? Give you a server per individual? I don't know. Not sure how it could possibly work. But then they could do that, because isn't that how cloud gaming works? Your game is running on an individual server instance, a blade. So there's one instance of New World for everyone that wants to play it, as there is any other game in their library.
yeah, I think that's something to keep an eye on. I would be shocked if it was single player. I would be majorly shocked, but I'm expecting this to maybe do. I think this is all placeholder things here, because if you look up about the developer and the launch date, which is today, is that the 25th or maybe it's the 23rd? It's really small on the screen there. I think a lot of that was placeholder information, so I would be shocked if it's a single player game. I think it's going to be a cross
You think that's just
platform.
placeholder? Yeah.
I think that's just placeholder.
It could be. It could also be placeholding temporarily while they move out a bunch and do their thing, I guess. Who knows? Who knows? But yes, certainly that is an exciting piece of news either way. So looking forward to that. So I'm just queuing something up here. Do you want to move on to some more news?
Oh, what other news do we have? Oh, yes. What we have is the controller is now out, and people are actually going there and enjoying it. And they have, like when we talked earlier, they are saying it's pretty good. And the way you can actually hook up your account and just swap between the devices is absolutely brilliant. You can just switch on your phone, then go to your tablet, you go onto the other one. It is just really quite magical, and the difference it makes between playing a wired Xbox controller compared to the Luna controller is noticeable as well. And even when we were playing with the Xbox controller, people were saying it was, you could barely notice it, and this just lowers it down even more.
Yeah, I know. The response apparently is really good. The response time, and it feels good as well. And the reports were basically saying it feels fast anyway, but with the controller, it's noticeably faster. So even though people were saying before then, oh, this is this is actually no lag at all. This feels really good. When they got the controller instead and played with that, it was like, wow, this is even better. So it just goes to show how just a few milliseconds can make quite a difference. And I did read online, someone said, oh, they're saying it's going to take 10 days to come, but everybody that we know that bought one, it came up like the next day or the day after. So I don't think that's the case at all.
Yeah, and I know some people had it down for Saturday and Sunday when the controller was going to arrive, and it came earlier. So yeah, it's everything seems to be looking pretty well in that regard. I want to do some messing about. I want to speak to Alexa on it and see if you can take screenshots and all that sort of carry on. But
well,
again,
yeah, it is. It is meant to be Alexa enabled, isn't it? Now, whether or not that's been implemented yet, I don't know. I haven't seen anybody try. We'll have to ask our friend, our roving reporter Ashes, what his experiences of that are. He was hoping to pop on tonight, folks, but he's got some family stuff he needs to deal with. So we'll definitely try and hook him up again in the week to get his further experiences.
yeah, definitely. It's Ashes is a good lad, so and I think he's more than happy to come on every so often to give us a lowdown to what is going on. So yeah, it's really exciting how in the space of not even a week, in the space of 3 or 4 days, they just launched, and then they dropped a new word which is a big game, and it's going to be a big what's called a first party game, which means Amazon are building it. Yes, it's going on to PC as well, but that's a different sort of thing. But I don't think a new Word will be heading to consoles anytime soon, if at all.
No, I don't envisage it ever making its way beyond Amazon Luna and PC. So yeah, I mean that would be, for me, having played it, it really got under my skin. It had the feel of a big Ubisoft title. So yeah, thoroughly looking forward to that. I think that's going to be, it's quite an odd game in the sense that it's kind of historic, but it isn't. So it's kind of set around the early colonization of America, but then there's witches and skeletons and stuff. So, maybe it's perfect for Halloween, by the way. In fact, who knows, maybe they're aiming to get the alpha up for Halloween. That would be great. That would be really good.
Have you got your name down yet, Rokk?
No, well, to play the alpha, I haven't checked actually whether it's available to download again on PC or not. I don't think they specifically said, did they?
I think you have to stick your name into the hat to get it. So I think,
yeah. Well, you did for the betas, to be fair. I just think they were probably a little bit less worried about who they handed it out to. But I don't know whether the alpha is specifically for Luna subscribers or whether they're widening it out to the PC as well. I'll have to check that out. It's a good question, Dunk.
Yep.
Very keen to find out.
And I think if you do get in, I think you should stream it on here to give everybody a wee taste of new.
That's a very good idea as well. I did stream it actually. The first weekend I did stream it from PC, but it wasn't a very successful stream. I didn't have the kit set up properly. But no, that's a good shout. I must look at that. But yeah, that is exciting in a kind of geeky, gamey, kind of cloudy way. So that's it for news, isn't it? I think we haven't really got any more news per se, just lots of stuff going on. So we were going to have a look at,
basically the news is everybody, it's out, but it's very, very limited. And early hands-on. Yeah, it's saying it is early access. There is a lot of things missing, which we're just about to come on to, but it's a good opening start for Luna, and it's promising. It's not going to replace everything what you're wanting at this moment in time, but this is just the early access, and there's so much more to come, which brings us on to the missing features.
Yeah, so I think one of the major criticisms really have been around what's missing, and there's some specific things that are missing for this. And don't forget, this is week 1 of early access. Week 1. It's not even a week yet. So certainly in the first few days, the friends. So the sort of social stuff appears to be missing. Multiplayer is a big one, which we touched on already. Messaging, which again kind of comes under the Friends banner. Achievements, direct streaming to Twitch, and of course the Ubisoft channel. Well, I mean, if we take those from the last one, they always said the Ubisoft channel would come later after launch. And it's fairly clear that, with Watch Dogs Legion launching this coming Friday, Valhalla launching 12 days later, that Ubisoft would wait to release the channel to coincide with one of those launches. So we've always made an assumption that it would be closer to the November 10th launch of Valhalla rather than the October 29th launch of Watch Dogs Legion. So, that one we kind of expected, Dunk, didn't we? We knew that wasn't going to be an early doors one.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another piece of the news is with which we covered on Thursday. Ubisoft are launching Ubisoft Connect, and Luna was mentioned in it, and they were mentioned alongside the other cloud platforms. Ubisoft Connect is due to launch this week with Watch Dogs Legions, and it says it's launching on the console platforms and PC during that time. Then separated out was all the cloud platforms, and They followed this up. Assassin's Creed Valhalla followed this up with a tweet during the week saying that cross-platform cross-platform saves and whatnot will be available day one. So that leads us to maybe speculate. Go on, Rokk.
Well, yeah. Well,
No.
Oh, speculation. Whatever it was. Speculation. That was the one. Go on. What was my speculation, Duncan? You finish it off. I've just made myself hoarse.
Yeah, of course. The speculation then would be the Ubisoft channel may be coming with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I know you've got other speculation as well. Speculation.
Well, I mean, I have no foundation for them whatsoever. That's why we're calling them speculation. But my feeling is that Ubisoft are looking to launch Ubisoft Connect, which of course is the new name for the whole service, across all platforms, not just the ones that we're aware of, and over time. And I would imagine that it would be basically one subscription, play where you like, because that, I think, is their dream. You know, we know that all games from Watch Dogs Legion forward, so all the aforementioned soon to be launched games, will be cross-save. So wherever you play, you can save and pick up. Cross-progression. So as you progress your character on one platform and then play it somewhere else, the progression is there. And cross-platform. So if you fire the game up on Luna Plus, you should be able to play with your friends on PC, for example, in a multiplayer scenario. So that's, Ubisoft is really sort of trying to make it much more about the game and less about the platform. So why wouldn't they, if they were taking that mantra to its logical extreme, also have the Uplay Plus or the Ubisoft Connect or the Ubisoft channel or whatever they want to call it available on every possible platform? So I hope that's the case. Because then, essentially, it doesn't matter if you've played for a subscription on the Ubisoft channel, then technically you should be able to fire up on your Xbox and carry on with those games, which will be absolutely excellent. So that's something to look out for, and I may or may not be wrong. All right.
Yeah. Yes. Here's the thing: if you don't put your neck out, you're never wrong. So it's better to put your neck out.
It is quite long.
Yeah. People make predictions all the time, and some people just lay back and just say we're not going to predict, and then they can just say you're wrong and whatnot. Speculation is fun, I find, and especially if you've got some logic towards it as well, and you put you can see some sort of way to do it. I enjoy a bit of speculation now and again.
I do indeed. Nothing wrong with a bit of self-speculation. So yes, so that's something. Go on.
I was going to say we're going to do these in reverse order, didn't you say?
Yeah, so we've done Ubisoft. Just to cap that off, I mean, again, we've said it before, I would be very surprised if the Ubisoft channel wasn't live and kicking for the 10th of November, which is the launch of Valhalla.
Yeah, but don't take us as 100% gospel.
We don't know.
We have not been told this yet.
What do we know? Duncan, direct Twitch streaming. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I think it will be coming. I think this is going to be one of the features which is going to be pushed out pretty quickly. And the reason why I believe that is we've already got Twitch inside the app already. It's I think it's going to be the logical step on, and if Luna have came out time and time again now and said that they are building up upon Twitch. Twitch is their what's the word, bedrock of a sort. So
yeah, absolutely, it's baked in. Frankly, I'm just trying to find it here,
and with that as well, we've also seen, if you go onto Twitch, some people are actually seeing the click to play sort of icon, play this now on Luna. So you can just go bang and straight into the game. So I'm expecting direct Twitch streaming pretty quickly. I think, Duncan,
you're going to see it. I think it's going to be rolled out with multiplayer. Because what is Twitch if it isn't the home of multiplaying? I mean, or any streaming game service is all about people versus people, and people that are watching you coming in and playing with you. So I think you'll see it held back. I think there's a number of these things that are all connected for the same reason, which we'll touch on when we get to multiplayer. But I think we will see it the minute they roll out multiplayer. We'll then see the ability to directly stream into Twitch, because that's when it becomes competitive gaming, esports and such. And of course, with the Ubisoft channel, which I can't believe for 1 minute that they're going to roll out with games like Watch Dogs Legions and other games where there's a sort of element of PvP and not have that in place.
And the big standout there is Rainbow Six Siege. That is a guarantee to
Yes.
be there. And that's something to keep an eye on. The one I'm actually interested in finding out more is Riders Republic. It's something me and you are, I know we're both really passionate about, is bringing the community together to actually play games and bring everybody in. And with Riders Republic, that is going to host a load of people. It's something we just need to see what level of multiplayer, if it's going to be, is it going to be the 16 or is it going to be the next gen version for that? I would say it's going to be the next gen. Touch wood. And we will hopefully find out about that soon. But and I'm really looking forward to that sort of element of it.
Me too. I think there's two things that the one thing that we haven't said actually, which we do know is a fact, is that although you will have out of the box the ability to have 2 accounts running with your Luna Plus account, you will only have access to 1 account with the partner channels. Now, that may be different for other partner channels, but they've certainly explicitly said 1 account per in terms of the Ubisoft channel. So, that's just something to bear in mind. Achievements, I mean, again, we may as well lump them all into one: friends, messages, achievements, multiplayer. I think all of these are ready to go, and the simple reason, and they're all sort of connected. Essentially, they're a big box. It's all to do with lots of people, effectively. Achievements arguably not, but certainly the others are.
I'll tackle maybe achievements slightly separate. If we'll take achievements out from the box, but
you do achievements now, and then we'll circle back around and we'll do the other stuff.
I think they haven't got it 100% hammered out yet what way they're going to do achievements. I think they're looking to do them slightly different. I think the achievements are probably dinging in the background for people are playing. I think the APIs are there, but I don't think they know how they're going to display them. If they're going to be like trophies, or they're going to be like achievements, or they're going to be worth points and things like that. I think that they're still not 100% sure in them yet, but I think the APIs and stuff are there of a sort, so they're pinging away in the background, and I hope that's true. Touch wood.
Yeah, I don't know yet whether they have a plan for achievements or whether they're simply allowing them to be whatever the in-game achievements experience is. They've said, at least in one article that we read, which was CNET, and they're typically pretty good at their sources, they've literally quoted Amazon as saying that social interaction, and we don't know whether they're talking about the ability to tweet that you're playing or whether they mean access friends, is going to be down to the individual publisher. We're taking that one with a real pinch of salt because I think it's too open to interpretation, and we've not found any quote from Amazon that says that. But I think we almost certainly in the early days, they may simply say whatever achievements exist. And let's face it, for example, let's take Ubisoft. They are massive on achievements, to the extent that you get rewarded for achieving certain things in games, and then you can go and get free stuff that adds into the game. I mean, they've really expanded that to the next degree. But we just don't know on that one, and we have to assume that it's just waiting on this other box of stuff, this parcel of stuff which we've put under multiplayer, but it's essentially additional players. And it's a really simple one why that hasn't rolled out yet. It's really simple. If they've literally granted early access to, let's say, 1 in 1,000 people out of a few 100,000, so that right now there's 1,000 or 2,000 people that have access to early access. That means the chances of you firing up a game and finding anybody in a nearby server playing the game you want to play at that precise moment in time is fairly remote. And looking at other services, where we know that the subscriptions or the people using the service is hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, it can still take time to populate a server with enough people for you to play a game with. So obviously, when at this moment in time, they're very conscious about how the service looks, how it responds and plays, and they know that they can live or die on a really bad review, then it's better to switch that off, because you're just not going to get enough people in a room to play with. So let's get the early access, the very, very early access guys out there. Let's get them playing. Let's get them saying that it feels fast and they can flick through games really quickly and the controller feels great and, the quality of the graphics is good and the latency is low. Let's get that stuff out there. Then let's start adding more and more people in over, who knows how many, whatever percentage per week, for all we know. Build that up over a couple of months and then flick the switch. At that point, you've got more chance of populating a decent game with 6 or 7 people in a game, for example. But it has to come when you look, as you were just saying, Duncan, Rainbow Six Siege on Ubisoft. They have to have that capability coming. So it's more likely to be within the next month than months. But I think at this moment in time, they're being very prudent and they're holding back on releasing any service that could be misrepresented as failing, when in reality it's more nuanced than that. A lot of it is down to how many people are active in the system at that time. It could be worse. I mean, if they'd rolled it out globally, for example, and they needed to keep it tight, then you may never see anybody for a long, long time. So that's what we think is why you've yet to see a lot of those social features. But absolutely, they're going to be coming in the near future.
Yeah, I think they're going to build them up nice and slowly. I think we're just going to pop all. They're going to pop all at once, so they will. The interesting element in this is New World, which sort of discussed there. I can see a couple of games getting some multiplayer, but they're going to have to be cross-platform multiplayer. Ubisoft games, again, maybe a perfect candidate for that, maybe going onto the PC and doing it that way and just build up nice and slowly, because we know Ubisoft are totally welcoming the cross-platform multiplayer. So that is something just to keep an eye on. I'm not concerned at this moment in time. If it was about a year down the line and it was in full launch mode, yes, it would be a massive talking point. But I think there's actual good PR reasons and marketing reasons why they haven't switched this on. And this is bigger picture thinking. As much as we want to get all the multiplayer, because again, we are massive multiplayer fans and we love bringing people in to play games, this is actually probably the wiser move, because there's only a couple of games in there which will go, yeah, they're sort of multiplayer focused, like Grid. And we know from other platforms as well, even getting a multiplayer match on games like that, which are free and which have been free and on that, is actually quite difficult as well. So yeah, this is actually a pretty smart move, even though we all want it.
Yeah, it's also worth bearing in mind with Ubisoft, of course, that from the day it launches, it's already promised cross-platform play. So this is how a lot of the other platforms that are building up a user base, how they have gone beyond that problem. They've simply opened access to other platforms where there's already a vast amount of people playing. So, that's something else that you could see, particularly if a game exists in a PC form, for example. So open it out so that you have access to playing with people on a PC. And then as the audience builds, it's no longer an issue. But it can be soul destroying if you just downloaded your favorite racing game or, basketball game, and you've literally it relies on you playing with other people and there's nobody around. And that reflects your feelings towards the platform. It's chicken and egg stuff. It really is. But it's that's almost certainly how they will deal with it, and then they'll expand it outwards. So yeah, that's. But what we do know, and this is the key thing here, is that is not reflective of the cloud gaming experience. We know that that does work, and it works perfectly well. This is simply them getting their ducks in a row, which is why it's called early access, which is why they limited the amount of people initially, so that they can gradually roll these features out and test them, and then expand that to more people.
Absolutely. It's again, it's just it's business. It's just them just getting everything ready, and when things go off, they will go off pretty quick. I think as soon as they hit the multiplayer, I think bang, we're going to get our friends, bang, we're going to get our messages all coming out at once. That'll be like a big update. And if I'm going to put a time scale on that, I'm going to put my neck on the line here. I'm going to say next year, for early next year, after we get the Christmas/holiday period over and done with. They'll switch on the local multiplayer for Luna, so you play against people who are on Luna. I'm going to also say we're going to have cross-platform multiplayer this year on the Ubisoft games.
Yeah, I think that has to be the case. I suppose the two things that I feel are missing that people aren't talking about, but I think would be good to see. One is a source where they publish when they make an update. So whether that's a blog post, whether it's something within the app itself, for example, where you can see, notes for log notes of what's been rolled out, or a bit more detail about a new feature, for example. I don't think that exists at the moment. That's quite useful. And the second one, which is the classic that everybody asks for everywhere, is a roadmap. So, we know that these features are coming. They know these features are coming. They don't have to put a date to them, but they could at least have a list to say, these features are coming short term, these features are coming medium term, and these are future features. And then you can look down that list and you can go, oh, good, achievements is there, that's fine. Oh yeah, I can see multiplayers in the short-term list, so that's coming up shortly. So, I think something like that, those are the things that tend to get forgotten when you're a publisher or a developer, but actually they're quite important to users. And it's important to note, and we've seen this elsewhere, people that tend to apply to go on into something early access and pay money for it are usually a little bit more technically au fait, shall we say, than people that just try it for the fun of it because they've spotted it in their Amazon Prime account. So these are people that have a vested interest. They want to know how everything is shaping up. They want to see the developers thinking. They want to know what is coming up in terms of fixes or updates or features and so on. That doesn't necessarily mean the audience of the future full launch are going to be like that at all. But at this stage, people are, and that's not just us. I mean, we know that, seeing how other platforms have developed. The early investors, if you like, the early adopters, are really ingratiated into the whole thing, and they feel almost like a tester, a QA guy, quality assurance tester. So, something like that I think would be really cool. A place where people can go and see after the effect. Just to let you know, at 4 p.m. this afternoon Eastern time, we rolled out these features, or we fixed these bugs. And then you can go, great, and you've got a little, this is update 7.3, so then you've seen a new one's come up. So that's after the effect. And then before the effect, a roadmap, which just goes, short-term, medium-term, long-term, future, and then there's a list. No dates, that's not possible, we get that. Stuff changes, we're in a pandemic, resources have to work in different scales to beforehand, so that makes a heap of sense. But that's always really useful, and I think those two for me are missing at the moment, and I'd love to see those coming up in the not too distant future.
Yeah, but I agree. I think getting a roadmap would be such a real good thing to get out there. You can actually see it with other platforms now. We see it with the Epic Games Store. We see it with EA now. They've got they're using the Trello boards are called, and they actually put up this is short term, medium term, and long term, and this is what we've just shipped. And I think it'll be a real good thing to actually see. Obviously, I'm not expecting any. If there's secret sauce sort of stuff, this is a top secrets feature and it's coming. I'm just these basic sort of features would be really, really good to actually have there.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. It's exciting stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see those coming up shortly anyway. Because I think the one thing that we've seen from the social media, that the sort of Twitter and everything else, is that they are keen. They're very keen. Mark Whitten, who is the main man, the director for Luna Plus, for Luna, who wrote the blog post the other day that told us all that it was going live. He is active in Twitter, literally reading tweets, responding to them, liking, following, which is great. Really, really good to see. I think these guys genuinely care what people think, and they want to get it right, so they're listening. There's a big feedback form within the app itself. I know Ashes has been actually quite vigorously responding and sending through feedback and stuff, bugs he's found, ideas, and so on. And I think we'll see those. The beauty of the cloud is that you can push an update instantly, and you can do small updates if you want to. You don't have to wait for big blocks of updates. Like, if you download software like Microsoft, the operating system, there's an update every Tuesday for that. They push it all in one big go. You don't need to do that with the cloud. Just update everything. It's all done. It's all there. It's good. It's harder if it's an app that you've got on your phone, funnily enough. But it's really, really easy if it's cloud-based. So, I can absolutely imagine seeing them doing almost daily updates, stuff behind the scenes that we probably weren't even aware was an issue. That often is the case.
Yeah, exactly. It's and it brings us into speculation mode where people like say, has this changed? Has this changed? Has this changed? Or no, it hasn't. It's the same for me, because there's going to be, like you said before, there's going to be A/B tests, which is some people might see changes, some people don't, and they're going to just see how people respond to these small changes that they made. It's just really interesting to see. This is what makes cloud gaming so brilliant, because they just changes can happen all the time, and they don't have to worry about bricking hardware or bricking like consoles, which means destroying them, and they can just continue just to update stuff in the background and just keep firing the stuff out in all the time. And it's just so exciting because it can just change like that.
Oops, sorry.
Right.
You're absolutely right. I'm just going to show something here, actually, Duncan, which we touched on earlier, and with Twitch integration. And this is something that I was just a second ago I was watching, but this is quite interesting. So if you watch this video here, so he's gone to Overcooked, and you can see there's a whole bunch of live streaming examples of the game in Twitch. So they literally, Ashes in a second, literally clicks on one of these thumbnails and launches it within the app, so he can watch somebody playing. Here you go. So he could drag that down to the corner of the screen and play the game at the same time, even if he was involved in the game with somebody that was in Twitch itself. So, we know that Twitch is hard-baked already into here. The only bit that's missing, as I've said, is the ability to stream it outwards. And, I think that will come the moment they implement multiplayer, because otherwise you're literally just streaming you playing on your own, which isn't the most popular games tend to involve other people. So that I just thought I'd quickly show you that, because I thought that was quite interesting. Obviously straight out the box with Twitch integration. Just an apology as well, folks, if you're joining us, because of course in America, this is the time that we've always had the show. We rather stupidly started an hour ago because our clocks went back in Europe overnight, and we completely didn't think that it isn't the case across the world. So sincere apologies, because we've been on for an hour. And if you've just arrived and gone, right, okay, what's been going on this week in the wonderful world of Amazon Luna? Oops. Sorry about that. But what we will do, of course, as we do every week, is when we draw the show to a close in a second, we will carry on. And as we always do, and we're more than happy to recap on anything. If you guys have any questions, as always, you can obviously fire them at us, and we're more than happy to recap if necessary. I found out what recap meant today, Duncan. It had been, I don't know if it's just me, but I even looked into where the words, where the phrase "toad in the hole" came from earlier. But it's recapitulate is where it comes from. To recapitulate is to recap. So there you go. That's why we say recap, to recapitulate, which is to show it in a summary form again, which I thought was quite interesting. So apologies if that's you and you're thinking, well, this is a bit weird. I'm sure I'm on time. You are. It's us. Sorry. Right. Yes.
I only realized halfway through that we should have probably done this.
I didn't even cross my mind, and that's just us, isn't it? Dumb English or dumb Irish or wherever. Look! Don't shoot me. I'm just the messenger. What? Do we have anything more that we want to introduce into the live show before we say goodbye?
No, I don't. Do we have any big predictions for next week? Do you think anything big's going to happen next week?
Well, I think we're going to see more people introduced. So if you, and I mean, quite honestly, if you haven't applied yet, don't think for 1 minute, oh, they've done it now. That's it. They've got the couple of hundred. They will be rolling these out on a very regular basis. My guess is that every week they'll be rolling out to another, at least the same number, if not more. So, go into the Amazon Luna page of Amazon, amazon.com/Luna, I think it is, and apply for early access, because you will eventually get it. We think, from listening to the people that have been granted it, we said this earlier, that at this stage they're looking for people with very fast connections. I say 500 megs to a gig down, for example, so that the experience is as good as it can possibly be. So bear that in mind if you're applying, and if you are in that space, then absolutely get in there and apply for it. But gradually they'll expand it out, and I think there'll be another big chunk of people getting their emails this coming week.
Yep, I think we're going to see maybe a couple more people get their emails, and I would not be 100% surprised if we hear something maybe about Ubisoft this week. It's coming with the launch of Valhalla, because Watch Dogs is launching next week, and they probably want to get involved in that hype as well. So don't be 100% surprised if we hear something small. And we're going to be contacting Amazon this week to get some clarification about the social things we were talking about earlier, to see if we can get more just clarification in that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're quite keen to open a dialogue with Amazon anyway. We've already reached out in a couple of different places, and we've made some connection, which is nice. So we're quite keen to try and get them on board, maybe for a future interview, and certainly to maybe feed through some thoughts on things as well, which would be really good. We're more than happy to be that for them, which would be absolutely superb. Right, Duncan, I think we'll wrap it for the live show, and then we'll open out for questions and discussions. So, as always, where can people find you in the week?
If you want to check me out at Cloudy with Games on Twitter, and you can also catch me at the Vinacast on Twitter. I'm remembering now.
Yes, absolutely. And myself, you can find me at Stadia Rocks on Twitter, at Cloud Rocks on Twitter, and of course at the Lunacast on Twitter. Just once more as well, if you don't mind, we just want to say a massive thank you to our patrons and subscribers: C Troot, Stadiumania, Wolock, Marchief, your man TW Cooks, Tresurrector, Songa 2011, Tommy Danger, Ashes to Ashes, and your other man. Honestly, we're blown away with the support you guys have shown us. It's absolutely amazing. Every single penny is going to go back into the production. We've already got some stuff lined up that we want to be involved with for this, so it means a huge amount to us, and you know, that's absolutely amazing. So thank you very much for that. We will see you Thursday for Game Quest. Hopefully we'll have some more game news as well. If not, we will have a look at the games that have gone live, maybe get a review or two in. And either way, we'll almost certainly have some more news for you as well. So in the meantime, stay with us if you want to have a chit chat. For the rest of you, thank you very much for joining us. It's always fantastic. We love this show, and we look forward to seeing you all again on Thursday. Take care. Say goodbye, Duncan.
Goodbye, Duncan.